Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be installing the carbon fiber grill on the Fusion as the last mod before Fusion Flood. Now I've had the honeycomb grill on there since the beginning of the year, but now it's finally time for an upgrade. So in case you guys missed it in the video a couple weeks ago, this is the grill. I told myself I wanted to add more carbon fiber to the car, so this is a really nice option. Love the styling. It's the upper and lower, but as of right now I'm more just focused on the upper. Now the first thing to do when installing a new grill on the car is to remove the bumper, because the grill actually mounts from the back and faces forward. So as of right now we still have this color match honeycomb grill on the car. So take the bumper off and then we'll get to mocking it up so you guys can see what it'll look like. And for reference, here is the car now. Loving the 3D carbon lip, it looks really, really good. And now we get to take it off. Okay, we now have the bumper off the car, and honestly seeing the front end so low to the ground does really make me want to bag the car. But nonetheless, you do have to remove this little backing right here, but other than that, it's gonna be these clips to get the grill off. So this is just a rough mock-up and it's already looking really, really nice. Now the thing that I will say is the idea that I have, since this piece isn't a direct bolt-on, it doesn't really have the clips to hold it in position, is I think what I'm gonna do is use my stock grill actually and possibly remove this surrounding piece and see if I can somehow attach that surrounding piece to this grill, and that way I can put the surrounding piece tabs in and that'll be attached to this grill, so this grill won't move, it'll be nice and secure. But nonetheless, that's the idea I have. We'll see how it goes. I don't think it'll be too involved other than just kind of dremeling out the excess of that piece. And I'll basically do the lower grill after the fact, mainly being that I just want to see if this idea works, because if it does, then we can tackle the lower one and just do the exact same thing. So it's just slowly but surely cutting through this. Just want to kind of get the surround out where this area is a little raised. It's kind of where I want to keep it on the inside of, just in case I do need some space to mount or whatever. And once we have the surround, I'm basically gonna fit it to the bumper. I'm not too worried about the structural rigidity because the carbon fiber grill is already very, very solid. So it's more just that it has an area that it's attached to rather than having it be, you know, super strong, because this thing is actually pretty solid, so I'm not too worried about it in terms of rigidity, because I think it'll hold up very, very nicely, especially with the surround holding it in position. And it is a little bit of gapping issues, but I'm also not pushing it in position. It's just kind of like held on there, just kind of like by the opening. But I mean, you can kind of see like right here, as soon as you just push it in, it'll grab and it'll be solid and fit in position how you want it. All right, so now we have the surrounding area of the stock grill removed. I'm gonna sand it down a little bit, just kind of get these edges nice and smooth, because it is gonna be visible on the grill once it's actually mounted. And I did keep these little areas here for support, so it'll be nice and tight on the crash bar. Well, it's not perfect and I made a mess, but it does look a lot better, especially just from a perspective that you're gonna be at usually looking at the car. It's pretty straight on, and I figured out what I want to do to mount the grill. So the idea that I have is to mount the grill normally with this surround on the back and zip tie it together so it'll basically hold, and then from there use some outdoor capable Loctite that's also weather resistant. It should hold up really well because it's what's recommended to be used for the 3D carbon lip. So it's already on here pretty solidly. I mean, it'll pop off if you try to take it off, but for the most part it's in the position that just about I want it. I do want to kind of pull in right here, which I will do with the zip ties in a sec, but the main thing right now is we're going to try to line these clips up. It's not fully on right now, but I do kind of want to give you guys a little bit of the game plan. So right here, there's this slat, and so you won't actually see anything behind this. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just using the holes on the surround to my advantage. So one of the clips goes right here, but it also has these openings on the side. So I'm running a zip tie through there. It's going through the actual mesh, and as you can see, it's going to be hidden through the back of the slat. So I'm going to do one top and bottom, and the same thing on the other side. And from there I'll go on with the glue, because the main thing I want to do is I want the glue to be from the grill to the surround, because the way that they recommend installing this piece is kind of permanently mounting it to your car, which is usually having the glue all the way around the opening. And I don't really want to do that because I might change it out later. I do have my eye on a few JMA racing grills that I really, really like. So basically I would be fine removing the grill on the surround itself because it wouldn't actually do anything to the bumper and it wouldn't be permanently mounted. I'd be able to take it off pretty casually if I need to. I did have to cut a little bit more off just because it is interfering with the grill, but It's not too much, and I think I'll still be able to keep these little braces right here, just because these will help with the crash bar mounting. All right, guys, it is soft mounted to the car. That's basically just that it's zip tied to the car. It's actually holding up really well. It's not really going anywhere. As you can see, you move the bumper, the whole thing moves. It's not loose or anything. It's actually pretty secure. And the only thing that is left to do for this specific piece is to glue the grille to the surround. So there are some little gaps that it has. It's nothing very significant. You can kind of see right here. I do basically just want to address that. But you can see along here, well, actually let me get a light. But you can see along here, the surround is actually working really well. Because it has all these holes, I can actually very easily attach the grille to it through zip ties. But the main thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some glue, kind of the areas that it's making contact with the surround. And I will also use some clamps just to make sure that it holds in position. It's super secure and everything. And I'm going to leave it like that overnight because it is going to take a while to dry. But this is honestly more just going the extra mile because theoretically you could actually run it just like this, basically buttoning everything up with zip ties because it does seem to be working, and the surround idea is, you know, making it to where I can pop it back off if I really need to. So I'm very happy that I'm not permanently mounting it to the car, but if you do want to permanently mount it to this car, that's completely fine as well. But this is just the way that I'm going about it, with the intent in the future to get a different grille so I don't have to basically completely swap out the bumper. All right, so I have some clamps on here right now. They're not really pulling too much. They're just kind of like tucking this in, so it's not really too much pressure. It's not going to warp the bumper or anything. It's basically just going to hold the grille in position. As you can see, the line along here is all nice and flush. So now we can add the glue, and basically the idea is that once the glue dries, I can take these clamps off and it'll stay exactly in the same position that it's in right now. And so basically I want to add the glue right here in this crevice between the surround and the grille. Should be able to get a good amount in there so it'll all hold really nice and securely. And basically, if anything, it's kind of mounting it to the surround itself, so if I want to take the grille off, I can just pop off these zip ties and pull it out as a normal grille would, and it'll be really easy to do. Alright, so I got a good bit of glue on here. It's predominantly all in the upper section, but that's mainly because the upper section has this little crevice right here that makes it so it's easy to put in there, as well as not really making contact with the upper area where the clips actually go in. At the bottom, the clips are actually pretty close to where the glue would be, so I don't want to put them on there, but I was able to get a little bit here on the other side of the slat as well as the other piece. But other than that, the bumper is actually coming along really well. You cannot see any of the glue on the outside, so that's exactly what you want, because, you know, you'll get that nice seamless look to the car. I do think I'm going to leave the bottom section for tomorrow, but I mean, it's really not going to be anything for you guys because you're going to see it in a few seconds. Buddy. Okay, we are now back. The grille is looking really nice. Still going to give it a few more hours to cure. It does recommend like 24 hours, so shouldn't really be rushing it. Hey, buddy. You got your chew toy. But today, we get to tackle the lower grille. Let me back this car out so we can get some workspace, and we'll get going. All right, so I was able to get the lower grille off, and now we can get to mocking up this lower grille, seeing what it'll look like. Then from there, we can cut out the surround, glue everything back together, and that should be just about it. So here it is, and the thing that I will say is it is a tighter fit and a little bit more of a stiff fit. But the main thing for that is I do have the 3D carbon lip on there, so that was kind of making it to where I didn't get as much clearance to kind of put it in position. I did add this tape because it was so tight, I didn't want to scratch anything up. But the other thing that I was questioning is, are the slats going to line up? And I mean, I would say that's a definite yes. So now we're just going to do the exact same thing we did for the upper grille. So I'm really happy with how it's coming out, and see the light at the end of the tunnel. All right, so got the bottom in, and we got the surround in there as well. It is a little bit of a tight fit, so it's gonna need a little bit of tweaking, but I mean, the clamp method is working just fine. Was able to get clips all secured and snug, so it's really not going anywhere. I'm pretty happy with it. Got some zip ties in there as well. Get some more clamps, get the lines exactly how I want it. Then from there, we can add the last bit of glue. It's actually coming together a lot better than I thought, so definitely happy about that, because again, couldn't really find much information on this piece. Now, it does have its little bit of fitment issues, but that's what the clamps are for, and it seems to be working just fine, especially whenever you get a closer look and you just check out the lines. It's looking really solid, and I'm really happy with it. Once this is secured, can leave it for however long it's gonna be, and then we can put it back on the car. Oh man, this is only the second time I tried to remove tape off the car, and both times it actually ended up tearing. All right guys, so it does fit relatively snug, so I only really need that one clamp there in the center. Now it is on the carbon fiber, but the clamp does have some padding, so I'm not too worried about it scuffing it up. I'm honestly even more sold on the carbon fiber now. I did actually consider painting this piece white after the fact, granted, but I kind of want to keep it as is for a little bit. So I'll check in with you guys later once all the glue's been drying and secured, and we'll put this thing back on the car. All right guys, it is now considerably later and time to reinstall the bumper. I'm honestly really loving the look of the carbon fiber, especially now that it's darker, so it's only getting the reflection from the lights on it. And there is one thing that I do actually have to do that's going to kind of ruin a little bit of the look, and that's basically just put the front plate back on. Because I am traveling out of the state, I do want to have that extra little bit of caution. And I will say that Texas specifically, there's a good bit of car culture here, so you really don't get too much attention for it. I mean, you will get a ticket if, you know, a cop's just needing to write people up for whatever reason, or if he just doesn't like you. But for the most part, I've actually had some pretty good luck, but I don't really think it's the best idea to test it at this point. There we go. This is the first time this car actually has a front plate on it. I mean, it still goes with the theme, you know, the black and white monochromatic look, but now we can get this piece cleaned up and installed, and the bumper will be back on the car. All right, guys, the bumper is back on, and the grille looks amazing. I'm really happy with the way that it came out. So here it is, completely installed, and for not having really any information online, I'm pretty content with the way that everything came out. It's looking really good. I'm really happy with it. The carbon fiber looks nice all the way through, upper and lower. And yes, there's a lot of fingerprints on it, but that's just because I was actually messing with it myself to get it back on and everything. Now I am gonna move it to the sun so you can see it a little bit more specifically, but I do have a question for you guys before that regarding fusion flood. So I'm gonna have my car obviously parked there, but do you guys think that I should leave the headlights purple whenever the car is parked, or do you think that I should do a cycle and just change colors and have it go a little bit slower? Don't really know which one I want to go for. I feel like the purple is really solid because, you know, when I did the entire interior customization series, purple was definitely the accent color, you know, the seat belts, the Starliner, and it looks really good with the car, but obviously you have the full effect of all the colors, so I'm kind of going back and forth. So let me know in the comment section down below what color you think would look better just for having the car parked. So I will say that I did run into a little bit of a speed bump, which was basically, I was able to get the support on, I did leave the brackets on for that reasoning, and mounting it was actually pretty easy, but there's two mounting points for the grille and then two that actually go to the bumper. And the grille was fine, but the ones that were mounting to the bumper, it was subtly pushing the grille out of position. Putting the bumper back on the car, you know, it kind of has to wrap around the front end. That also pushed it out a little bit more, so that was a little bit of a concern for me just because the fitment wasn't staying where I wanted it. And the answer was actually pretty simple. Got some help from our body shop friend, and he basically helped us with these self-tapping screws. So the grille does have these little tabs that extend past the bumper. So all you really need to do is wherever you're finding those fitment issues, use some of these self-tapping screws, secure it into position. You can use the bracket. I did have to settle on one towards the bottom right. One is mounted into the bumper, but specifically right there, it's gonna be covered in all scenarios. So I'm not too worried about that one. But for the most part, that's really the only issue that came up after the fact of mounting it on the car. Because as you guys saw, everything prior to that was pretty easy, it was going pretty smoothly, and that was the only other thing of note. But for really not having any information online, I'm really content with the way that it came out. I could only find 2 reviews that were basically just saying, you know, it wasn't the best piece, and they really had no information on the install process or anything about it. But nonetheless, I have been wanting to get my hands on this piece for a long time, so finally doing it and seeing that you actually can install it, and you know, there's this little template that I kind of gave you guys, but actually having it myself and not necessarily having too much experience messing with grills, I think it actually came along pretty well. Now, is it 100% perfect fitment? No. Is it a super casual install you can do within 2 hours? No. Those are kind of the things that you're gonna have to deal with if you do want to get this specific piece. What I recommend this piece is gonna come down to 2 factors, and the first one is just gonna be, if you're looking for a grill that's just a casual upgrade from stock that you can, you know, swap in and out, this probably isn't the one for you. This one's gonna be a little bit more involved. I mean, rightfully so, but if you're comfortable with, you know, spending some time to learn this piece, learn the bumper, and kind of get a feel for how you want things to be mounted, and actually willing to take the time to get the alignment how you want it, then yes, it's absolutely worth it. So hopefully this video was able to give you some comfort or understanding on this piece, because I know for me, I had been watching this piece since the beginning of the year and really never seeing any actual installs of it was a little concerning for me, but hopefully this can be an example so you can make your decision whether you want to get it or not based on my experience with this specific piece. So overall for this piece, it's going to come down to how you specifically want to install it. Theoretically, if you took out the support and just went the casual glue route, you'd probably have a pretty easy time installing it. But me, I wanted to keep the support and I didn't want to glue it because as of now, I can treat it like a normal grill. You know, I can pop the clips off, take the grill out, put it back in position, do all that stuff normally as you would do with a normal grill. And that was definitely the goal for me. Whereas, you know, somebody else might just be they want to mount it, forget about it. And you could definitely go the casual glue route and not have to worry about anything else other than just getting it in position. It is definitely how you want to go about it, but me personally, I like the piece. It has its flaws, but I definitely think for how it came out now, I'm actually really happy with it, especially for Fusion Flood this weekend. I'm excited to have a new look for the car, and I'm really excited to see all you guys there. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to let me know what color you think I should leave the halos for Fusion Flood, and I'll see you in the next one. Or at Fusion Flood.